Hello and welcome. I think this is my seventh shot at making this little short message to you. It seems like the shorter they are, the more takes I have to do. Anyway, I'm cracking myself up here because I keep making these silly blunders. Anyway, and what's funny is I don't even really have anything I need to say to you today, except that I wanted to check in with you. I don't actually have a demo. I'll have one soon. I'm going to demonstrate. The next video will be about the pastels and how to use them for optical mixing. And I'm looking forward to making that video for you. I hope you're looking forward to watching it. No, today though, what I wanted to just say was what a great job everybody's doing and to kind of be encouraging. I'm really looking forward to what you're going to make in response to the idea of the cyanometer, right? Like what kind of measuring device using color as the gauge you're going to make for me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. And I think probably it's going to be they're going to be really interesting. I have very high hopes. I think they're going to be great. And we should probably plan at the end when I get them all, when I get most of them, I think I'll try to make a kind of a PowerPoint show so you can see what everybody's been making. Might do that with the color wheel too. We'll have to see how we feel about that. In the meantime, I also wanted to mention my own progress on this little object. Remember, I said I was going to make something with these kind of half plastic pearls, actually full plastic, but only a half sphere. And this piece of polyester batting, well, I'm going to cover them with some pieces of silk that I have, and maybe more than one layer. Oh, that's so crooked. You see that? It's like working in a mirror. Anyway, and I'm also working on checking out what I like. Like a lot of art making is just an endless pile of decisions. Do I make it this size? Do I make it half an inch smaller? Do I make it long? Do I make it tall? Do I make it black? Do I make it blue? I mean, it just goes on and on. And it can get pretty burdensome, right? Because you can really get bogged down in indecision. Well, if I don't even know what color I want or what size I want, I guess I just am not going to make it. And it's important to sort of push past that. Don't necessarily wait for the perfect choice, the perfect decision. Just say, well, I'll try it this way. Let's see. You need to have a let's see attitude. So one thing I tried is let's see if this works. I kind of stitched around the pearl to see if I liked it in that kind of quilted, more pronounced look, you know. But I don't think it's doing much for it. I don't think that it's either worth it or even all that desirable. The reason I liked the silk over it is because it kind of obscures these things and makes them better looking than they really are. I think I'm actually going to maybe use 2 layers of fabric on this. All right. And why am I telling you all this about my decision making progress? I get a process. I guess I'm telling you it because I think it's important. I think you knowing how other artists are making their decisions about what to do is sort of the most useful thing we can tell each other. Why is that? Because I think it reinforces that your decision making method is good. It's working. You're doing a good job, okay? So, although you'll wonder, you'll have doubts, you'll have questions like I have, right? That's right too. That's appropriate. Maybe it's not appropriate, but that's how it is. Let's put it that way. Anyway, one thing when I was working on this is I realized how easily it will be to sort of ignore this thing. Like, right? It's just a sort of fluffy little piece of stuff, and it's white. If it was hung on a white wall, you'd barely see it. And I love that. I love that it's almost invisible, but I don't want it so invisible that it gets dismissed by a potential viewer. Now you're thinking, wait, where are you going with this? To the Whitney? No, but I do think about my audience, and I advise you to do the same. Not so much that it paralyzes you, but think about who you're going to show this to, or not even who you're going to show it to, who you want to see it. That's a better way to look at it. I have a kind of imaginary audience made up of people I admire, both living and dead, that I want them to be impressed with my work, right? I want them to see it and go, oh, yeah, that was smart. That's great. What you did there, that's great. Now, since it's an imaginary audience, there's we'll never know if they really like it. But I have that idea in my mind a little bit. I also want to talk about the assignment. I'm talking about decision making. I'm talking about who the object is for, and I'm going to talk about how you decide what to make. I'm going to get back to what to make in a minute because I'm still finishing up this idea, right? It's going to get ignored because it's just a little piece of tiny fluff. On the one hand, this scale is intimate, and I like that. That's something I want. I want people to go, oh, it looks kind of soft, and like I want to see it closer. That's a good thing. But I also feel like it might just get, it's a little too, not precious maybe, but too easy to ignore, too soft. So my idea was to combine this, and I love a juxtaposition. That's another thing I love, with something that is harder to ignore, something with a little more weight, literally. So I am thinking about mounting it on some wood. And then it would have a little more mass, a little more weight. And also this is kind of like, oh, unfinished. It's not gonna, I don't know that I'm gonna paint it. Maybe I will, but it has a more rough and tumble kind of feel to it as a material. Like this was the one I really want to use. This sort of like peeling paint old thing from an old piece of fence. And it has a kind of a shredded side because it broke there. And I don't know if I'll mount this on the shredded side or the white side or what side will show, and if I'm going to hang it on the wall. I've got a lot of questions still to answer. But while I was picking this up, searching through broken pieces of wood and stuff outside, I found this one. I know, isn't this great? I bet you wish you had one. You might have one. You should check your yard. Anyway, this one just seemed too good to leave out there. And so then I got this notion that what this one maybe needed was some of this really thick yarn attached to it. And I don't know if it's going to go along the cut edge, or I don't know where it's going to go. I think I'm going to put it on with tacks, but I may not. But this is the great thing. Whether I make anything out of this that turns out great or not is not so much the point. Why I wanted to talk to you about this is because ideally, that's how making art is. One thing will lead to another. Actually, this is how everything should be. If you're taking photographs with your camera, you should think, oh, this gives me a great idea for another photo I want to take. Or, oh, I see something over there through my viewfinder that I didn't even come to take a picture of, but that looks really good, so I'm going to go take it. You're hoping that one thing will lead to another. And in this case, it maybe has, maybe not. But before I sort of stop with these, talking about these objects that I'm making, I'm going to show you one that is finished. And there's so many things I could talk about just with the idea of finished. But I know that I need to get back to why we even start making something. So don't forget that. We're coming back to it. By the time we get there, it'll be after lunch. Anyway, this is a piece that I consider finished. I'll talk about finished in another video. I don't know when. I hope I remember to get back to it. Anyway, finished. This one hangs on the wall kind of vertically, so you would see it and it would look kind of like that. But it's a piece of old redwood, or another found object. Actually, everything's kind of found. And I drilled some holes in it. I put this wire through. See, these can be manipulated, bent in different ways. And I haven't really decided how I like them, but I like that too because I can change it, right? If I feel like having them all kind of poke out or shorter, I can do that. Anyway, I put the wire through and then I sewed these little silk stockings for them. So what does that evoke? A couple of different ideas. It was made of an old bathrobe, which you don't need to know, but that's got a connotation too, right? I kind of was thinking about them as tiny doll stockings. I had some work I was doing with a tiny doll shoe, and that kind of got me thinking about the socks, the doll socks, and the intimacy of those, right? But I want to talk briefly about how I present this on the wall, because it could be presented very differently, and I'm not totally certain that I'm done deciding. If it comes out of the wall like sort of straight like this, like a shelf, right? These things connote a kind of growth, like they're coming forth, right? They seem to be growing up out of the wood, like plants or something. And that's a very different connotation than if they're coming out kind of vertically, right? And yet again, if I were to turn it down, right, now they're kind of like, I think I dropped a sock. They're kind of like roots or something, right? So, like how you change the orientation of these simple formal elements really changes the content or the meaning, right? And that's just the orientation, right? That's just whether I have the thing going up basically with the little wires or going down. And these kind of things are what the decisions that artists make, right? Because these could be a different color, right? What if these were all red or pink or something coming out of white? Or maybe this was like a flesh tone and these were pink. I mean, it starts to get into this other realm entirely. Or what if they were all blue? Anyway, decision making. So, when you are finished with this course and finished with maybe other courses, maybe when you're finished getting a degree, or maybe you get another degree, maybe you get even 2 more degrees, and then you're done. Well, then what? You have followed everyone's assignment, you have dutifully turned everything in on time, and now there you are. What are you going to do? How are you going to make some things? How are you going to be an artist now? Well, the thing you'll have to do is make your own assignment. And when I mention this, I mean this is what artists do. They think, well, I'm going to make some things, and they're going to be with some old found wood I have and some old found wire, and they make these rules for what they're going to use and what it's going to do and what it's going to mean. And for me, using these found objects has been the way I've been working the last couple of years because it just seems right to me. And I don't really have much more defense of it other than that. But that is plenty. If it seems right to you, then it is right, right? But make your own assignment is a perfectly legitimate way to work on your own. And that's really what artists are kind of doing. The rules can be very strict, like I'm going to make something every day. They could be like disciplinarian, sort of. Or they can be much looser. They can be, I'm going to use up some canvases that someone gave me and I'm just going to mess around until I like the look of them, right? But you'll basically be wanting to go from receiving assignments and carrying them out to inventing your own assignments, to writing your own. And I know you're real close. So I think that is all. Take care, and I'll see you soon.